Okay, so it's 2022, January 3rd, and we're here for the regular meeting of the St. Albans Town Selectboard. We're starting 10 minutes late at 6:40, and we're going to begin with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So we'll start off with warrants. We don't need any agenda changes.
We do not.
Perfect.
Okay, I have the general fund warrant dated December 29, 2021 in the amount of $293,795.03. A couple big items on there for around $11,000 is the salt that we buy for the roads, and the other nice big ticket item for $250,000 is the Franklin County Sheriff's Office Policing Services, Dispatching Services, and Special Services Q3. I'll make a motion as we approve this warrant as stated.
So moved. Or second.
Okay, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Here's the payroll.
Yep, I've got two payroll warrants here. One dated December 24th, 2021 in the amount of $44.44, and 78 cents. And the second one dated December 31st, 2021 in the amount of $44,066.13. The December 31st warrant's a little bit higher because we've got quarterly payments to the retirement account. So I'll make a motion that we approve both these payroll warrants.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I've got two miscellaneous warrants. The first is the infrastructure development warrant dated January 3rd, 2022. Alpha Testing and Engineering for $3,700 and Peterson Consulting for a little under $7,500 for the town hall. So the total January 3rd, 2022 infrastructure development warrant $11,190.75. Ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so this is an impact fee warrant. It's to zero out the balance for the school. So their business manager made their annual request. It's in the amount of $20,845.18. So it's the impact fee warrant dated January 3rd, 2022, and the amount of $20,845.18. We ask for a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you. Now we're on to minutes. For the minutes of our last meeting in front of us, it was December 20th. Does anybody have any comments or corrections?
The only comment I have is I really appreciated having the time that we spent on each topic. I really appreciate that. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Definitely a good tweak. Would someone make a motion to approve the minutes from December 20th?
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes from December 20th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. So we're on to public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to make a public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the town manager's report.
Great, thank you. So the first
I would like to make a comment if I could.
all right,
Okay.
Jeff Nelson.
Sorry, I didn't see the raise hand function on here. Sorry about that. So I just wanted to say that I did view at least the past few meetings with you folks, and also the recent Run School Board meeting. And I mainly wanted to voice my support for your ongoing initiative regarding equity issues. I know at least two of you found out that were present at the school board meeting, found out sure enough that Christmas memo had nothing to do with citizen or grassroots efforts in a form of a committee. I hope a robust and conversation and culture with your body kind of cushions St. Albans from future impact of essentially a lot of misinformation, unfortunate, and by myself included, ideas about what the school is. So I hope a lot of people think it makes sense for the school to be spearheading that. It sounds like under this current administration that this citizen considers the response anemic. My main analogy is that those comments, and I was a little challenged by my technology. I hope for those people that are there, a little repetition isn't too bad. My main analogy was I feel like the equity work is a lot like dental care. The homework that you do individually, one-on-one or at home is like prevention. So that's like toothbrushing. So, you're brushing your teeth is one strategy. And then your open forums or, your citizen participation, that's the cleaning the teeth. And that's, another appropriate strategy. And then the longer term efforts or the committee work is like the drill and fill. So sure, you can have one and not the other, but I think it's helpful when they all kind of work together. And I hope that St. Albans that you decide to do that. Whether it sounds like implicit training could be something that you guys were saying for your staff, and you would undergo, perhaps even joint, split the cost by getting someone to come in, with St. Albans city or what have you. And I just also wanted to sort of reflect back about the difference between equality and equity. Hey, welcome to there's a lot of people with that, they are very similar terms. The main example I have heard that I've found most understandable is that the equity kind of refers to accommodation. And equality is something's identical, right? If something's equal, it has to be the same. Since disadvantaged or, sort of minority populations aren't the same, sometimes like your, recently reduced fees for documents, if you lower the barrier for participation in certain groups, you've made an accommodation. And even though other people can enjoy that, maybe, maybe like handicap accommodations, that's a good example. People that are able don't necessarily need that ramp, but it's different. It's not the equal accommodation, but it is equitable. So sort of fairness. And I also just wanted to push back a little. And again, I appreciate the robust conversation. I heard it expressed in just kind of an offhand remark that it couldn't possibly be that your emergency services could be affected by bias. Well, I unfortunately, there's a lot of cases where we do things we don't realize. And we assume people have good faith and we assume people are operating sort of normally. But unfortunately, until we learn how we treat people differently, we could be affected by all that. And we don't maybe not even know. And now that comes out. Explicit means you say it to someone's face, right? And we all know sort of what that looks like. We don't know all the time what implicit looks like. And anybody could fall a prey to that, including the people that are in the disadvantaged or affected communities themselves. Healthcare, you can Google healthcare outcomes and you can find doctors that don't realize the things they're doing that actually put their own affected minorities in jeopardy. So it's important work. I think you guys are headed in the right direction, and I hope you do continue and strengthen to make St. Albans a better place with your response to this. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say to Jeffrey before we move on? Okay, well, thank you for your comment and for coming. We're continuing our discussion on the 28th of February, Mr. Nelson. So our meeting on the 28th of February, this will be on the agenda if you'd like to attend. I think that's the date, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Okay. Okay, Carrie.
All right, so the first item under town manager report was a follow-up to our discussion last month about naming our meeting rooms in the new town hall. We have 4 meeting rooms, 2 of them primary. The one primary select board meeting room or community meeting room, and then a smaller one. Those both are right off the lobby. There was a lot of discussion about historical names, so in your packets were a short version from the Historical Society of some background info, and then this afternoon, more robust compilation of information about some of the ships that Alan was mentioning, and I don't know exactly where you'd like to start, but we should hopefully end up with at least a couple names, hopefully 4. So we can get some of the signs ordered. As a backdrop to that, to frame that up, the town hall project is on schedule. It's continuing, as most people drive-bys have probably seen. It's exciting. So we actually just got furniture bids in. We have not reviewed them yet, but they came in favorably, so. Gonna push forward. It's kind of exciting. It is exciting. It's not kind of exciting.
Well, I could start. I like the idea of the steamships, but I also would like to maybe even go. There's a way to even incorporate history that goes further back, like with the Abenaki. I think this could be, in light of all the conversations we're having, an opportunity to incorporate that a little bit. And the only thing that really came to mind in reading through all this information is that this part of the bay was called Bella so I don't know if that could be an option or.
We're talking about putting that sign, working with the tribal council to maybe put a sign in the Bay Park.
Yeah.
That, when we do our updated signage with our new logo, even we were gonna ask them about, if there's any locality in the town that had a specific name, like on Maquam Shore, if that's the specific name, if there's something else, so we could be more mindful. So that's definitely ongoing.
I was gonna say, with that in mind, Jess, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, me too.
One of the ships is the McQuam. I know it's a little different, but it kind of speaks to both.
Yeah.
In that way. I do like the suggestion Alan had, and I think they've incorporated it in of naming the big room Port Washington. I think that's pretty cool. I like the captain name. That's really neat too. Rockwell, and then a whole bunch in there. I mean, I don't think any of those or the Bella McQuam. I think they're all great. I can't think of any that I wouldn't want a room named after that. It's hard to pick what the top 4 are, maybe, because there are a lot of good ones.
And with Port Washington and Bella McQuam, those are 2 place names. I don't know if there's any other historical place names, like if we want to look at the hills in the town, or look at, we could have the rug room for Rug Brook. I don't know. I feel like there could be other place names in the town too that we could reference.
And usually those are after people, I think, in most cases.
Right. That's true. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, so I think we probably need to give the green light for at least the Port Washington room, so that they can select an image and get that glass door ordered. And then that's a good idea, Alan. We've got to give credit where credit's due. It was totally Alan's idea, and the museum compiled this after we asked, after Alan brought it to our attention. So it's pretty neat. Alan, I've got a digital copy. I'll make sure to give this to you before you leave.
He has a paper copy, but we'll send him one.
Oh, okay, you have one already?
Just now, though.
Cool. Sweet. Yeah, I mean, we could, you want to come up? I mean, this is a kind of a discussion you've been involved in, so I'd be more than happy to have you come up.
Well, I'm just going to say with what Jessica said, the Port Washington was the bay, but the Native Indian call it Bella McQuam, so you could call the room the Port Washington with parentheses under with a Native American name, Bella McQuam. It'd all be the same room.
Yeah.
Kind of shortens our list, and then we have to come up with 3 more.
We had 4.
And it's like it's the wrong direction.
Steamship names,
I don't want to have the reindeer room after a ship built in Alberg in 1881.
Yeah, there were some that were probably, to me, less good. And I love Ticonderoga, but I feel like that's associated with Shelburne and the Burlington area. The Franklin, I'm looking at that, though. That appears on this list to be the first one built in St. Albans. But there's a town up the road.
This is all history that Eleanor and the previous town clerk collected. Is that what you're looking at?
Yes, the Historical Society said that. They actually sent us a big packet just this afternoon and cited Eleanor's help.
Why, thank you.
Do we kind of like the idea of doing like a Captain Brainerd room after the use vessels to help escaped slaves escape to Canada? Is is what I'm reading here. Is he, further credit to Brainerd using his social station and ships on Lake Champlain to aid fugitive slaves. I know the museum did a display for the city to be in City Hall, and it was largely focused, I think, on Lawrence Brainerd and his work as one of the last legs of the Underground Railroad to get to Canada. So
He was the one that started the steamboat company in St. Albans,
Yeah.
and that was on Wharf Street, right near Town Hall, so.
So let's start to like put this on. So we've got the Port Washington room, and then the other rooms we had the name were the research room for, no.
No, it was the two, there's the main meeting room right off the lobby, and
Yeah.
then there's a secondary smaller meeting room off the lobby.
Okay.
And then there's a small room towards the break area, and a smaller meeting room in between planning and zoning. So I think the main, to me, the bigger meeting rooms that are gonna be used most often, and most often from people that don't work there, are the big, large meeting room and that secondary one on your left-hand side, right off the lobby.
So what if we did the main meeting room as the Port Washington room, and then the smaller meeting room, the conference room essentially, off the back as the Bella McQuam room, and then the planning zoning conference room, we could make the Captain Lawrence Brainerd room, and then the other room could be.
Well, Brainerd wasn't a captain though, right?
Oh,
I mean,
that's
he's I think he's an organizer and owner.
yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Like the Brainerd room.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
call
I
it
think the
Lawrence
Brainerd room
the
sounds
Brainerd
good.
room, and then we could ask the museum to help us develop a placard,
Mm-hmm.
condense exactly what, and then we could ask the Abenaki Tribal Council to help us put together a placard explaining the Belle McQuam room.
Now, and for a fourth one, I don't know if this would work, but could we just call it steamship room and then have pictures of 3 or 4 different
Yeah,
steamships?
there we go.
Because
I vote
there's
for
I mean,
that.
there's six great ones in there, I think, or something like that. And the pictures that are in there are great. I mean, as I was looking at them, I was trying to picture like a, I don't know, 2.5 by 4 foot picture of each one on a wall or something like that. And
like have one wall in the room just covered.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, probably my favorite picture in all of St. Albans, there's a couple of them, but that one that is still when you walk into Food City, that takes up that, hopefully it's still there. I think they were working around it, but a picture that looks big like that, with that kind of, I don't know, it's just, if we had a few like that with the pictures, that would be outstanding. Then the picture of, I believe it was Rockwell that's in there, that's pretty neat.
The black snake. If you guys heard the
Yeah, I don't know if
smuggling
there's
boat.
pictures of that, but I remember that from my history days, yeah.
I think I would suggest to Brendan, if you're reaching out to the Abenaki Nation in Missisquoi, to maybe just have them, because I noticed in the historical document it said that Bella McQuam is a French and Native, was the word used by French and Native Americans, and then sometimes over time, like it can be, that might be the way that the French pronounced it or wrote it out, so it might be worth checking with them as far as like the Abenaki spelling.
Yeah, would it? Yeah, I mean, we should do that.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
We have contact information for Chief Menard, I think.
Yeah.
And there's copying, I know there's another member of the McQuam Bay Missisquoi that I could recommend as far as copying for supporting that, so.
Okay, so we need to get on that sooner rather than later to make sure that we order the sign correctly.
Mhm.
But I think that's a pretty cool. I think the room the only one that might have a potential of an actual lake view is going to be the Belle McQuam room. Because the main conference
Well,
room will have a view.
actually,
for
all
sure.
of them, the Bella McQuam, the Brainerd room, it has a lake view, and the steamship room has a lake view.
Wow.
If you want more history, I have more history from Eleanor that I can provide.
Let's
What was the name of the trolley?
The trolley.
Was there a name for it, or was that like later on?
It could have been just St. Albans Trolley or.
I don't know,
I
but
didn't
that,
know if they
Question.
called it something.
I'm sure Ron Anstey could figure it out.
I can look, I saw something about it in the book, I haven't read my whole book yet, but
I don't know if just
Well,
throwing it
that's-
out there.
It's not a bad idea having something about that because they used to come down with the passengers to the steamships.
Right.
Mhm.
And it was before the railroad was built. They used to trolley everything up there.
Yep.
Maybe we should buy an old trolley and put it right outside the building as a display.
True.
The whole building is supposed to have a little bit of a railroad
Yeah.
feel.
Steve Bain might have one.
You could just call it the trolley room and then have the pictures of the trolleys from the museum coming down to the steamboat.
We could
Which
do
room?
this, the one we were thinking
If you did a
steamship.
small room, like if you did the steamship room, you could have the trolley room.
If you had, don't we have like an open, is that the small little area that we designated for breastfeeding? I'm trying to remember the
It is,
conversation.
yep. It's got a small
The one in the back
sink
right
and-
corner, I think. Or did
It's
they
in the
get moved?
corner near the break room,
Yeah,
but on the lakeside.
yeah, back right, yeah. Got it. Yeah, I think that would be really neat, and I like the fact that the planning zoning conference area would be the Brainerd room. I think that's the best one to name. It's thinking about the future of
Mhm.
the town while reflecting on a good element of its past.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool.
Okay, so what I heard so far, I think there's consensus for, but let me restate that. So you have the main meeting room, which is the 100-person room, named,
Bless you.
bless you, Port Washington. The one right next to it, right off the lobby, the Bella McQuam.
Mhm.
Then we have the planning zoning room, Brainerd, the Brainerd room, but we can put on a placard more explanation on that. And then that last meeting space, steamship room? Did you want steamship / trolley? I didn't
I don't
catch
know,
that.
steamship or trolley? A
Steam and
steamship.
rail, I don't know.
Maybe a steamship and
Yeah,
then put
I
pictures
feel
of
like
the
you could
trolley.
put steamship in there, and if we were putting a few pictures of steamships, you could also put pictures of
trolley.
trolleys in there.
That particular room, I don't know how much it's gonna be used.
Well, and also keep in
It'll
mind,
be-
we can have a gallery of different pictures in the lobby. We're having a
We're gonna
picture
need to-
hanging system that allows for change of that, of
Nice.
what's in. We could have local artists, we can have things that are historical.
I think the
Um,
lobby's gonna turn out to be pretty. We
It's a
started pretty-
beautiful lobby, and we're trying to put this system in that will allow a lot of different items.
It'd be
You
really
could
neat.
put stuff in the lobby too.
That's cool, yep.
We'll have the memorial wall and
And the main room could have
we'll
items.
need,
The gleaners, and
I like that one
big deal
too.
too.
we'll have we can have the museum help us
Okay.
pull pictures, and there are a lot of things that happen currently that we'll wanna highlight too, I'm sure. Be cool to have a spot where we highlight all of our large industry in town, you know? I mean, you have to think that the new town hall could be a first place that a new resident or person walks into
Mhm.
that has that collective information.
Call it the gallery room.
Yeah, do all kinds of stuff.
So
Okay.
steamship room then?
Yeah, we can go with that.
Okay. I mean, obviously, this can be changed if in 10 years, 5 years, 2
Yeah.
years,
Yep.
someone says, I really don't love that, I'd like something different. Well,
And we can do,
you can do that.
and we'll reach out to Chief Menard and ask for help with making sure that the sign's ordered the way that they would find
You will, or do you
acceptable.
want me to?
Could you?
I can.
I
I don't
think-
have that contact information. If you could just send it to me in an
Yeah.
email or something.
Yeah.
Okay,
Even if
I
that's
will.
what the word is, make sure it's spelled the
Correct.
right way.
I
And I'd like to
Uh,
know, I mean,
spacing and all that.
pronunciation and spelling, yeah, like I
Mhm.
don't wanna.
Definitely.
Yeah, and if there's like
Wrong.
a spelling in their language that we could put on the sign also, that would be neat. However,
Yeah, I feel like each one of the
room
rooms should have some kind of placard somewhere
Yeah.
inside, or even outside of it, just
explains
giving
why
more
we did what we
information.
did.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, the Port Washington room, we can litter that with photos of steamships too, because it's further to the port. So there's all kinds of different
Yep,
things we can do.
and canal boats too. I mean, I know there's a huge air of canal boats, but they're not as
Oh no.
not as interesting, I guess. So
What is this? Okay.
All right, that was
good.
awesome.
That was good.
Did it.
So
Jen,
the
how
large-
long was that? Oh, sorry.
How long, Jen?
I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm just
she is
kidding.
keeping track.
She is.
She sends me a text. Just we're trying to keep ourselves honest. I didn't get one yet.
15 minutes.
So. Oh, all right, thank
That was pretty
you.
good. That was pretty
That's not bad.
Fun conversation at least.
Yeah. So item 2 under town manager's report is the large meeting room screening design. We did ask someone to do it. Of course, the weather has been horrible. Alan sent me a couple options. I don't know that those are one of them was okay, but, you know, it just hasn't been great to try to capture what you were asking for because there's just been cloudy, foggy, stormy weather for weeks.
Yeah, we want it to be as perfect as you can.
Right.
Obviously, right?
Right. So, I mean, hoping we can give it another 2 weeks.
Yep.
And see what we can get, maybe with some clear days. I thought, actually, I just mentioned to Brian, one of the pictures we got from the Historical Society was kind of nice. The one that's from 1909 that shows the dock. In the foreground is where we're putting the new town hall in a dock, and that what was there as a dock for the mobile oil stuff shows the old dock near the antique shore, and it shows McQuam Shore in the background. I kind of like that option. Let me just see if I can find it. So we're looking about the same thing. I don't know if we can get a better quality picture, but that is kind of interesting to me because it shows, as Jonathan said, all of St. Albans. You know, there isn't another town in there. It's St. Albans. Let me just quickly try to grab that. It's color. Well, I don't know if you guys got color copies, actually.
You want to send it around? We can look at it for our next meeting.
Yeah, I will.
Perfect.
But I just wanted to briefly show you which one I was
Yeah, I'm trying to
talking
remember
about.
which.
Was it
Oh,
this one, the
yeah.
reindeer?
That one right
Oh,
there.
that one. Mm.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is a.
The other, when you look back the other way, you see like mostly Georgia.
Oh yeah, this
Yeah.
one. I don't know if you can see it, but
Yeah.
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 It's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's cool.
You know, that McQuam shoreline and everything in there.
How good it would look blown up being that pixelated.
so I don't know.
There's
I mean,
the
we're
big
looking
one,
at outlines
pretty
and
big.
it'll be in black and white, so I don't know how clear we need to have it, but
Yeah, because they're gonna redo that kind of.
Touch it up.
Yeah,
I don't
Yeah, they
know.
might be
But
able to just take
we'll
the
see what we can
outline.
see
Yeah.
for the next one.
that could be neat.
Keep your pictures if you have them. We'll use
That's
these.
definitely a contender though, Gary.
I mean,
Yeah.
something like that would be kind of nice if Mason can do
That's
that.
really pretty.
I'll send it back
Shall
to you
remain
if you don't
nameless?
know him, see
What?
if he can get-
He's being trained by
That
Shelton
garage costs a
College.
lot. I'm
We're
not
gonna
I'm
take
not
it.
surprised there's a time machine in there.
So sorry.
But if the museum, I mean, that's a print, so they might be able to take a picture and have a better quality.
Right.
Oh yes,
Give them something
true.
to start
That's
with.
true.
And I had talked to Doug Morey, and he said that they can touch things up.
Oh, they
with their
can.
computer.
Awesome. Okay.
So, it could be a very good possibility.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I like that it shows the area where we're putting the town hall, and we're gonna have a
Yeah.
picture of it in town hall.
Yeah, we could put somewhere like this area
Mm.
this year, whatever.
Yeah, because if you try to do one now, it's going to be a half built, or it's something that's not complete.
Oh, that's true, you're gonna see
Right.
the
Right,
construction project.
right.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I like this idea too, and
Yeah, I
it's
like
really
it.
neat.
If we can touch that up and make it look pretty, let's go that route. If it's okay with everyone.
Yep.
And the company, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Cool.
We'll talk. We'll talk. See if we can get between you, Doug, and the Historical Society. Okay.
Nice.
The third item here also has to do with town hall. The pictures you saw in your packet were of the informal gravel walkway we made from our old DPW to the new one, and we've been using it a lot, obviously, but I think people would continue to use it as we develop that lot. So I wanted to know if you were interested in allowing us to keep it there. And just like that, not proposing anything else, but just leave it there when the construction's done.
Maybe pave
So-
it eventually down the road.
I mean, maybe, but at this point, really
Okay.
just leave it as is, but
Yeah.
not eliminate it when they're done. It feels like a good idea, it's already there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It creates the opportunity to use the old DPW site as overflow parking if we were to have a large meeting or.
It makes it easier if we were we thought a populated select board meeting, we could all park over there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and let
So
other
that the
people
public
park.
could park
Yeah.
in- when there's not a pandemic
Yeah.
or less of a risk. for the
Yeah.
Well, a
public.
larger meeting room. I mean, that meeting room we have designed is probably twice the size of this one, and it has.
It is, yes.
Has decent ventilation. so
Yep,
we
fresh
might-
air, more space.
If we space
Mhm.
everybody out appropriately, we might be able to allow a
Yes.
certain amount of public participation, especially if it's May and the
Doors
transmission's
and windows
lower.
could be open, yep.
So, yeah, okay. Well, neat.
So I'm hearing that we can do that, go ahead. I have to ask
Yeah.
them for a minor site amendment, that's all. But
Sounds
before I
good to
went.
me.
Cool.
Sure.
Does
And
that
I-
have to have any engineering done?
You have to have somebody put it on the site plan, yeah.
I have to, well, that part, yes. I mean, I don't have to have plans made or anything, but yes, we do have to amend that as the as-builts. We do have to
Rugiano
go
will have
to
to have his drafter.
a zoning
put it in.
meeting, DRB meeting. So you'll see it warned in the paper, you might get questions on it, you know, and we're putting in a sidewalk. Just be informal. It'll be an informal gravel sidewalk, but Burlington has a ton of those and they're easy to navigate.
Yeah. Well, the overflow parking, it just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it does.
cool. And we had an Act 250.
And then the last thing was, yeah, the Act 250 filing. No motion required. Doesn't seem like a
Got it.
huge project for us.
Okay.
So we're on to schedule.
We're going to see a lot of each other this month. We'll be back next Monday at 5:30 for a budget work session to really put the finishing touches on the budget. And then we'll be back Wednesday the 19th because the 17th is a holiday. Then we'll be back Monday the 7th at 6:30. So our offices are closed on the 17th for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Okay, I have very little to report, other than I hope that everybody had a good holiday. But on to other business, we do have something concerning that we'll have to discuss, and we'll have to keep it in our context when we put our finishing touches on the budget and decide what we're going to put on the ballot. Our CLA dropped again by a little under 5% after dropping over 6% last year. That 6% drop created an 11-cent education property tax hike. So I would hazard to guess that this 5% drop is going to be around 10 cents.
I still want to ask a question.
Yeah.
If ours drops and say the other communities in our school district, Maple Run, the city, and Fairfield, if theirs does not change, does that add extra to ours, or are they completely independent of each other?
Yeah, so the cities last year stayed relatively the same, and they had very little property tax change.
Yeah, what I mean though is if theirs stays the same, does that in and of itself make ours go up?
Well, it's a convoluted statewide funding mechanism for the education fund, so it's not as easy to track your dollars and cents. You send it into the state of Vermont, and then it comes back how it comes back. It's more based about, I mean, as ours drops, we're going to pay more into the fund.
Yeah, but what I mean is it's as
does add more
compared
of a
to
burden.
all of the other schools, not just the city and Fairfield, being that we're.
I don't think it
Right.
makes us a gold town. If that's what you're asking.
No, what I'm.
It's all a formula based on the budget and the CLA.
Yeah, what I'm
So
saying
ours-
is it's ours, this number is in the amount we then need to pay in, or our residents need to pay in, are as compared to all of the other schools in the state, not just the 3 that are in our district, correct?
No, because everybody has a different CLA as far as sales versus values. So everybody has a different CLA.
I get that. I'm just saying if the cities went down also, that has almost
That
no
doesn't
effect
help
on
us.
ours,
That doesn't
right?
help us
at
I mean,
all.
So if
as
everybody else
compared to,
drops,
that's all I'm
we
wondering.
don't-
Okay, that's all.
Right.
Yeah.
There'll probably be a surplus in the education fund in that case. I would hazard to guess.
Okay. I just want to make sure we weren't you know what I mean? Our
Right.
number isn't as compared to the other 2
No, so if-
municipalities, that's
if
all.
everybody drops at the same time, our payments all still go up, is my understanding, unless the legislature does something, which
They
requires us
do
to-
report that, Brian, and I can give you those numbers as far as the city, Fairfield, and the town.
So
Okay.
the cities, yeah.
All right.
So 85% triggers a reappraisal. We were
80.
80.
80, not
80.
85. 80.
Okay, that's, okay, so we've
We're
got
a little ways away.
at the,
We're at 90.
Oof.
So
And we,
this-
what, was it 96 last year?
Right, but I don't think
There's
you
gotta
said
be a
that first,
floor
so
to
if
this
somebody
at
was
some point.
listening.
Okay. Okay.
there's gotta be a floor to this at some point, because property values can't keep going up 15%.
I mean, that's what
yeah.
Bill Hinman was saying, right? That we needed to go maybe to the legislature and say, if 80% of the towns in the state are gonna be required to do a
Well, one, there's like,
reappraisal, we just can't do
there's only so many firms. I mean,
Correct.
anybody that's bought or sold a house requiring an appraisal, or anybody that's refinanced and had to reappraise, has found that, one, their property value was probably higher than what they might have thought. Two, it takes about 6 weeks when it usually takes 3.
In my understanding too, and I think Anna had kind of talked about this before, is that if we get to below 80%, we're not hiring some, a Vermont
No,
firm. We're hiring something from out of state who
It's-
can handle that kind of
Right, and there are only so
property
many,
numbers,
I
right?
think you would put it out to bid.
and see what you got.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in the middle of a commercial refinance that triggered a reappraisal requirement, and we had it out, and out of 30 eligible firms, I got 2 bids. And one of them was about 3 times as much as it should cost, and it was about 3 times the normal schedule. So it's a tough market to have to crack. And the legislature will have to do something in this case. They'll have to. I mean, there's
I
no,
hope you're right.
if every town triggers, if there's even 40 towns that trigger a reappraisal, it'll take 10 years to dig out of that hole.
Well, this was the same thing that happened in 2008 when the market was in flux and people were coming in and paying huge amounts of dollars based on value, and that's what triggered our reappraisal. And it had been, a little 10 years since the last one, probably in 1993. So this is, to me, it's a trend.
I just wanted, and it's just a clarifying question again. So in the last paragraph on page 1, it does have underlined a CLA below 85%. Necessitates a reappraisal.
Yeah, I
So I
think
think
they
it is
changed it
85 then,
I heard
right?
the same thing, Brian.
Okay. I'm just saying because we're close.
That's a document from the state of Vermont.
Tax
Okay.
department.
First page, last paragraph.
First page of the state of Vermont
Yeah,
information.
sorry.
So we,
See, I didn't get that page.
Thank you.
we'll have to,
I don't have that page.
Well, we're not there yet.
so we're probably,
And I became town clerk in 2008, and it was always a threshold of 80%. So perhaps, they could have changed it to 85.
so they'll have to either lower it or change it's always been a convoluted funding mechanism since it was conceived, so maybe we'll actually see. There's a study committee also right now in the legislature that could, my understanding is, shift education property taxes and make your municipality pay more as your incomes change. Like if you have higher than the statewide median average, that could be tied to your property tax, which in our town, that would be a nail in our coffin. It'd be very tough to swallow. So that's something concerning that we're tracking through the legislature. But it doesn't sound like, usually ideas like that come through when they're trying to fix something like this. So there's going to be a lot of different options presented probably, especially if there are multiple towns, which it sounds like there are, that are dealing with this. So we'll have to make sure that we're vetting them and lobbying for the one that we want. So we'll have to understand either with Bill in a near meeting what his recommendation would be, and then we'll have to get our legislative delegation involved to understand what our wish is and why. I think our legislators all want to help. I don't want to speak on behalf of one of them, but if given a direction, I think they'll fight for it. So we've just got to figure out what that is from Bill. I know we had some specific recommendations last year when this started. I don't know if they've changed since then. So other than that, we'll just have to keep it, in the back of our minds that property taxes in the town are going to go up pretty drastically for a 1-year hike for the second year in a row. I've been lobbying for the capital plan to replace public works and parks apparatus for a better part of a year now, but I don't know if I knowing this and not knowing how the legislature is going to respond to it, don't know that it would be possible this year. I think there's a risk that it could fail, honestly, because I think as this gets out, I mean, Josh Ellerbrock, the reporter from the Messenger's here, so I would expect an article probably by Friday's edition, which will get people talking by the weekend. That'd be a tough sell this year. So I guess Alan, Corey, and Carrie, you'll have to maybe review whether or not we can put that plan off another year, or if there's a piece of equipment we need to buy like now. Because if we have to buy like a $200,000 truck, and we're gonna have to put it on a ballot to raise property taxes at 2 cents to pay for it, we might as well just implement the plan, because that'll raise taxes about 2 cents. You know what I mean? We'll have to figure out the caveats to that. But we're mindful of the burden placed on the property taxpayer, and we, as always, are putting our priorities in check due to the education property tax rate, which is seems like it's a every year thing.
It's driving the tax rate
Yeah,
in the town. It's
I mean,
driving it in
we're
a
at
big
like
way.
40 cents, and I think the education rate was what, like a 165, something along those lines. So
Around there.
it'd be tough. I mean, it'd be really tough. We could have a 60-cent tax rate and get everything done, you know, that we need to, if we weren't, you know, handcuffed to that really hefty school tax rate. And it's, in this particular scenario, we all know well enough not to be able to just blame the school board and their budget, because the CLA is going to drive this increase.
Yep.
So this really, if you get people that approach you, you can't just redirect them to Maple Run. You have to ask them to talk to their legislator about it. That'd be the most effective tool at this point. So,
Is there any benefits from starting the reappraisal process?
like now,
Like, or is it not even an option?
Good
You
question.
can do it yourself. I mean, I think that's a question that probably Bill should answer, because follow-up questions are probably not gonna, I don't wanna guess at that, but
that's fine.
I know that he's told me in the past you can do desktop reappraisals too, which statistically take and reappraise in the town without actually having to do it, inspections. So I know that you can do that out of cycle. You don't have to wait to be ordered by the state of Vermont. And I
You
see what you're
don't.
saying, so.
I just think it's fair. If we have to go through this, we should hire an independent appraiser. And
Yeah, I wasn't talking about doing it ourselves, but hiring
yeah,
somebody
we
to
don't have
do
the
so.
bandwidth for that.
Yeah.
right.
No way we could get that done even if we hired an
I
expert.
think it's more fair. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Having been through it twice.
So,
I just
It's
didn't
a
know.
lot of work.
so
Yeah.
why don't
Not
we,
being the last guy to that. So.
maybe we work with Bill and see if he's got one of our upcoming meetings. Probably not the budget work session or the meeting
Yeah.
on the, we want to make it before the meeting on the 28th, because we'd want to have the information be, you know, publicly discoverable before voting, probably, to allow for a more informed voter, I would say. So maybe if we could get him by our first meeting in February on the 7th, have that discussion then. If not, the 19th would be better, but I don't know what his schedule is.
Well, he's usually here in town on Mondays, so probably the 7th would be preferred.
Okay, and then we can,
And you're trying to have this discussion before what happens?
before town meeting day.
I mean, we're gonna already at that time have decided what's on the ballot and what our budget is, so.
I mean, we know this is coming, so we can work through the budget work session knowing that this tax
Okay.
increase is
No,
coming.
I just wanna be clear about
But as
what your
far as our-
expectations are for talking to Bill. that's
Our
all.
ongoing, like, we should know what we're lobbying and the ins and outs of what this increase is,
Mhm.
and who can be contacted if someone wants to air grievances about it.
As long as we're having a dialogue, I don't know that we have to. Are you talking about going to the voters for something? Because,
No,
oh, okay.
no, not at this point, but,
So,
Because, I mean, we have a lot of money saved already to pay for a reappraisal.
yeah, I think we're looking at two separate.
And we're not looking at it, I don't think, for another, if we're 90, maybe a year. I mean, things have slowed down as far as house sales because there's no inventory. 2 years.
Right, right.
So let's
Okay.
see when we can get Bill and get him on an agenda and then go from there. So definitely a big deal. So anyone have anything they'd like to add to that discussion before we move on? Okay. Does anybody have any other business? We have no need for an executive session.
No.
Take a motion to adjourn at this 7:25.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wow. 45 minutes.
Was that a record?
I think it might be.